Have you ever hidden a secret so big that it could change your entire life in a single moment? That was me. I had just told my husband I didn't want kids, yet deep down, I was already carrying a life I hadn't planned. I remember the look in his eyes when I said it, calm, almost confused, but with a shadow of something I couldn't quite read. It should have been simple, a conversation about our future. But it wasn't. Weeks of planning, loving, and dreaming had led me here, and now, I was trapped between honesty and fear. I loved him more than anything, yet the truth inside me threatened to unravel everything. Every heartbeat, every flutter in my stomach, felt like a warning. Could he forgive a secret this huge? Could I even survive the moment he found out? I tried to act normal. I smiled. I laughed. I asked him about his day. But beneath the surface, panic clawed at me. Each word, each glance, felt like walking a tightrope above a storm. I couldn't let him see the truth, not yet. Not when one careless word could shatter everything we had built together. And here's the twist, he had no idea, but life has a way of forcing moments we're not ready for. Every day, the secret grew heavier. Every small look, every innocent question, reminded me of what I was hiding. And the more I tried to pretend, the more impossible it became to keep control. What would you do if you were living a lie, even while the person you loved most had no idea? Could love survive a secret this big? If you want to see how this shocking story ends, don't forget to subscribe. Have you ever hidden a secret so big that it could change your entire life in a single moment? That was me. I had just told my husband I didn't want kids, yet deep down, I was already carrying a life I hadn't planned. I remember the look in his eyes when I said it, calm, almost confused, but with a shadow of something I couldn't quite read. It should have been simple, a conversation about our future. But it wasn't. Weeks of planning, loving, and dreaming had led me here, and now, I was trapped between honesty and fear. I loved him more than anything, yet the truth inside me threatened to unravel everything. Every heartbeat, every flutter in my stomach, felt like a warning. Could he forgive a secret this huge? Could I even survive the moment he found out? I tried to act normal. I smiled. I laughed. I asked him about his day. But beneath the surface, panic clawed at me. Each word, each glance, felt like walking a tightrope above a storm. I couldn't let him see the truth, not yet. Not when one careless word could shatter everything we had built together. And here's the twist, he had no idea, but life has a way of forcing moments we're not ready for. Every day, the secret grew heavier. Every small look, every innocent question, reminded me of what I was hiding. And the more I tried to pretend, the more impossible it became to keep control. What would you do if you were living a lie, even while the person you loved most had no idea? Could love survive a secret this big? I thought I had prepared him for anything when I said I didn't want kids. But I hadn't prepared him for this. I was already pregnant. My chest tightened every time I thought about it. The secret inside me had grown too big to ignore, yet I couldn't bring myself to tell him. Every word, every smile, every casual glance felt like a test. Would I slip? Would he notice? The tension was unbearable. Even small things, the way I walked, the way I laughed, the tiny changes in my appetite, were clues I was desperate to hide. I questioned every action. Should I laugh? Should I speak? Could he see the truth behind my eyes? The fear of discovery was relentless. I loved him so much that the idea of losing him over a secret I hadn't shared tore at my heart. And then came a micro twist that nearly undid me. A routine check-in with a friend, meant to be casual, turned dangerous. She mentioned her own pregnancy, laughing and excited. My face must have betrayed me. I felt him glance at me, just slightly, almost like he had noticed something was off. My heart raced. Could he already be piecing it together? Could he sense the life growing inside me before I even had the courage to tell him? I tried to keep calm, to smile, to act as if everything was ordinary. But beneath the surface, panic clawed at me. Each second, each heartbeat, reminded me of how fragile our world had become. The secret wasn't just mine anymore, it was poised to explode. One wrong move, one careless word, and the life I had hidden could shatter everything. And the worst part? I loved him too much to risk losing him, yet I couldn't stop the truth from wanting to escape. Every glance, every innocent question, every passing day tightened the coil of suspense around us. Could love survive this secret? Could he forgive the silence that had grown between us, even without knowing yet what I was hiding? Every day felt like a delicate balancing act. I moved carefully, spoke cautiously, and laughed only when necessary. Even the smallest sign, a sudden craving, a wave of nausea, a tired look, felt like a potential trap. I couldn't let him see. Not yet. Not until I knew how he would react. Simple routines became exercises in fear. Walking through the kitchen, I made sure he didn't notice the subtle changes in me. Sitting together on the couch, I timed every laugh and gesture, keeping my body language neutral. My secret had grown heavy, a weight pressing down on every moment we shared. And the closer he seemed to noticing, the more impossible it became to breathe normally. Then came a near disaster. A friend commented casually about her own pregnancy during a lunch. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. My heart leapt, and I could feel his eyes flicker toward me. I forced a smile and changed the subject. But the risk was clear, one slip, one misstep. But the truth could be exposed before I was ready. The tension between us tightened with every passing second. I questioned myself constantly. Could I maintain this facade forever? Or would it crumble in the smallest of moments, a lingering look, a well-meaning question, or a chance comment from a friend? Every day, the fear gnawed at me, growing alongside the secret I carried. Each heartbeat was a reminder that my carefully constructed world could collapse at any instant. Even in these moments of panic, I kept asking, what would you do if you were hiding something this huge from the person you loved most? Could love survive secrets this heavy? The answers weren't clear. And the uncertainty only made my heart pound faster. The tension between us had grown impossible to ignore. His glances lingered longer than usual, his questions carried subtle curiosity. And even his smallest gestures felt loaded with meaning. Every moment, I felt like he was putting together pieces of a puzzle I wasn't ready to show him. I tried to act normal. I smiled, joked, and kept the conversation light. But inside, panic churned. Each time he asked, "Are you sure you're okay?" my chest tightened. Each subtle pause in his voice made my mind race. Could he already suspect something? Could he see the secret I had been desperately hiding? Then came another micro-twist. I reached for a bottle of juice, and his hand brushed mine. His eyes flicked to my stomach, and a pause stretched between us that felt like eternity. I forced a casual laugh, but my heart was pounding like never before. One wrong move, 1 second of hesitation, and he might uncover the truth before I could tell him. I started second-guessing everything, my gestures, my words, even my smile. Could I act normal enough to keep this secret a little longer? Or had the time already passed? And was he silently piecing it together on his own? The uncertainty was suffocating, and I realized that living in fear was starting to consume me entirely. And yet, even in that fear, there was a tiny spark of hope. Perhaps he would understand if I told him the truth at the right moment. Perhaps love could survive this tension. But the clock was ticking. And every day, every glance, brought us closer to a confrontation I wasn't sure I was ready for. It happened on a quiet afternoon that should have felt ordinary. I was at the grocery store, grabbing a few things, when a sudden wave of nausea hit me. My hands shook, and I clutched the cart, praying no one would notice. Every glance from strangers felt like a threat. And for the first time, I realized just how close I was to being discovered. Then he called. His voice was casual, playful even. But I could hear the curiosity lurking beneath the surface. "How's your day going?" he asked. I whispered, "Fine, just busy," forcing a laugh I didn't feel. But my mind screamed. What if he had seen me? What if he knew something was wrong? Panic clawed at me, sharper than ever before. Back at home, tension simmered quietly. I caught the smallest hints in his behavior, the lingering look during dinner, the slight pause when he asked about my day. It felt like a countdown. And I was trapped in a storm I couldn't escape. The secret that had been mine alone now threatened everything we had. Then a micro-twist nearly destroyed me. I was taking my temperature, something I tried to keep private, when he walked in unexpectedly. My heart froze. He noticed the thermometer, the hesitation in my voice. And for a second, I thought he knew. I scrambled for an excuse, just feeling a little off today. He didn't press. But the fear lingered. One careless moment, one slip, and the truth could unravel everything. That night, I lay awake, replaying every interaction. The secret had grown into a living thing, pressing on every corner of our lives. Each glance he gave, each subtle question, made the weight heavier. I realized then that it wasn't just about hiding the truth, it was about surviving the storm that was coming, a storm I couldn't control. Could you survive the fear of discovery while holding a secret this big? Could love endure when even the smallest hint threatens to shatter everything? The tension between us had reached a new level. Every word he spoke, every glance he threw my way, felt like he was quietly piecing something together. It wasn't anger yet, not even suspicion, really, but there was a quiet intensity in his eyes that made my stomach twist. I could feel him noticing things I had desperately tried to hide. Even small, everyday moments became tests. The way I moved in the kitchen, the way I laughed at his jokes, even the way I held my cup of tea, everything felt like a clue he could follow. I found myself questioning every gesture, every word. Could I keep this secret a little longer? Or had the time already passed? Then came a micro-twist that rattled me. He asked casually, "You've been acting differently lately, everything okay?" Just a small question. But it carried an intensity one couldn't ignore. My throat tightened. My hands shook. I forced a smile, nodded, and said, "I'm fine." But the truth hovered between us, unspoken and threatening to spill at any moment. The psychological pressure was unbearable. I loved him so much that the idea of hurting him with this secret was almost paralyzing. Yet I couldn't stop the anxiety from consuming me. Each pause, each hesitant glance, reminded me of the danger I was living in. The secret wasn't just a hidden fact, it was a living force, shaping every interaction, every heartbeat, every thought. And the cliffhanger? I realized he might already suspect something more than I wanted him to. The subtle hints, the pauses, the careful observations, they weren't just curiosity. They were the first threads of understanding, slowly unraveling my carefully controlled facade. Could I survive the moment he finally put the pieces together? Every day, the secret grew heavier. Each glance he gave, each small question, felt like a countdown I couldn't stop. I knew I couldn't hide it forever, yet the thought of confessing terrified me. What if he was angry? What if he turned away and left me alone with this secret? Every scenario ran through my mind, each one more terrifying than the last. Even small moments became high stakes. When he leaned close to ask something, my heart pounded. Every ordinary interaction felt like walking on a tightrope above a storm. I caught myself overthinking everything, the way I laughed, the way I held my hands, even the way I moved. Could I act normal long enough to survive this? Or would the truth escape in the smallest slip? Then a near disaster happened. He mentioned a friend's unexpected pregnancy, joking and laughing. And I froze. My hands trembled, my voice faltered. And I realized instantly that my reaction had been too strong. He noticed, just slightly. But enough to make my heart race. The danger was closer than ever. One careless word, one hesitation. And he could uncover everything before I was ready. I was at a crossroads. One path led to confession, risking anger, hurt, or even rejection. The other path led to continued deception, living in constant fear, waiting for the moment when he might discover it on his own. Neither path felt safe. Neither path felt fair. And yet, every second I delayed, the secret pressed harder on both of us. Could you handle a secret this heavy? Could love survive when every heartbeat carries the threat of exposure? The answer was unknown. And the uncertainty made each passing moment more unbearable. The day I finally decided to tell him felt impossible. Every step toward him was heavy, each heartbeat pounding like a warning. I had carried this secret for too long. And now it was time. The truth was ready to break free. And I had no idea how he would react. I took a deep breath and looked into his eyes. "There's something I need to tell you," I whispered. His expression softened slightly. But I could sense tension lurking beneath the surface. I hesitated, knowing that one wrong word could change everything. I'm pregnant," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The words hung in the air like fragile glass. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then his eyes widened in shock. I held my breath, expecting anger, disappointment, maybe even silence. But he froze, processing, trying to understand. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on both of us. Relief, fear, hope, and panic all collided in my chest. "Are you sure?" he finally asked, his voice soft but uncertain. "Yes," I whispered, nodding. The secret was out. And there was no turning back. Then came the twist I hadn't anticipated. His reaction wasn't anger, it wasn't blame. Instead, he reached out, took my hands, and said, "We'll figure this out together." Relief and shock collided inside me. Could it really be this simple? Could love survive a secret this heavy? Tears streamed down my face as I realized something important. This revelation, terrifying as it was, had forced us into honesty. It had brought fear, but also revealed a bond stronger than I had imagined. We weren't perfect. But maybe that didn't matter. Could you forgive someone after keeping a secret like this? Could love endure the fear and uncertainty that almost destroyed it? The answers weren't easy, but in that moment, I knew ours could. The days after the confession were a whirlwind of emotions. Relief, fear, hope, and uncertainty collided in ways I hadn't anticipated. The secret that had consumed me was finally out. But life didn't return to normal. Instead, we had to navigate a new reality together, one built on honesty, trust, and the weight of what had almost broken us. He was quiet at first, thinking, processing everything in his own way. I could see him replaying every moment, every glance, every subtle clue he might have noticed over the past weeks. And I realized then that this secret had affected him just as much as me. The burden was now shared. And while that brought relief, the tension still lingered. Could he truly forgive me? Could we rebuild what nearly crumbled under the weight of silence? We spent hours talking, revisiting moments, explaining feelings, admitting fears we had never shared. I confessed everything: the panic, the hesitation, the close calls, the nights I almost revealed the truth by accident. And he listened patiently, without judgment. Then he said something I never expected: "You were scared. But you never stopped loving me. That matters more than anything." The emotional fallout was intense. Tears streamed, not just from fear, but relief, love, but gratitude. Our relationship wasn't perfect anymore, but it was real. And real, I realized, was stronger than perfect. Love could survive even the heaviest secrets, the moments of fear, and the uncertainty that almost destroyed us. And just when I thought the storm had passed, another twist hit me. I discovered he had sensed it long before I confessed. Those subtle pauses, the questions, the quiet observations, they weren't just curiosity. He had been preparing himself for this moment, waiting patiently while I struggled with my fear. Knowing that he had seen it coming yet chose to wait and trust me shook me to my core. In that moment, I realized something powerful: love isn't flawless. It isn't always easy. But it can endure fear, tension, and secrets if both hearts are willing to survive the storm together. I held his hand, tears still streaming, and understood that life had changed forever, but in the best way possible. Could you survive a secret this heavy and still find love stronger than ever? Could trust and patience overcome fear and uncertainty? That's the lesson I learned in the most intense, heart-stopping way. If this story shocked you, hit subscribe and join us for more jaw-dropping confessions.